Chairman, you have a quorum.
Great, thank you. Mr. Lawson cannot make it this week, so staff and he asked me to run this meeting. So would like to move to item number 2, adoption of the agenda. I have one correction for the wonderful summary that was put together, just to point out line item 5, adjournment, I believe was called by Mr. Fergus and not Dr. Morris. You can correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Fergus, but I believe you were the one to call the adjournment.
Yes. We picked that up earlier, Mr. Brennan.
Perfect.
So we were going to bring that to your attention. So we saw the same thing earlier this morning.
Great. Well, without any other comments, go ahead. I'm sorry, was somebody going to comment on something? Can I get a motion for approval of the adoption of the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Lawson? Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
Mr. Fergus?
Yes.
Ms. Horacio?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Right. So that was the adoption of the agenda. I apologize. My comment was for the adoption of the minutes. Can I get a motion to approval of the minutes from the date? What is the date? Roll down.
The date was July 14th. July 14th.
Great, for July 14th. Can I get a motion for the approval of the minutes for July 14th?
So moved. So moved.
Second.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Lawson? Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
Mr. Fergus?
Yes.
Ms. Horacio?
Yes.
Great,
Motion
thank you.
passes.
Perfect, thank you. Let's move to item number 4, discussion action items that came from our previous meeting. A, crime data and from Richland County. Mr. DeChamps, if you'd like to take the floor.
Yes, this was the information that was requested by the committee. And what we did is we asked for this information over the past 3 years. And in your packet, there's a breakdown of the different sections, or I guess categories, of the burglary, sexual assault, aggravated assault, simple assault, drug and narcotic violations, and drug equipment violations, and robbery. These were reported, and on the request of the committee, is there anything we need to discuss in detail based on the information that's provided here?
Can you kind of hone in where as far as, were these in the area of Comet Transit stops, or what are we defining these as? What are the boundaries?
So, Mr. Brennan, Mr. Lawson had requested crime data broadly from Richland and Lexington County, Richland County and the City of Columbia. We had to be more specific with our request with those 2 entities. So he asked specifically for those categories that we have. And we just reported back based upon the information that Richland County gave us.
Right, okay. So is it your feeling that there's not a mechanism with our public safety outlets to really hone in on specific incidents that might happen at our Comet Transit stop areas, is what I'm hearing?
Yeah, I think if you look at, that would be B, page 8. It's a little bit, I guess, more confined to the Comet area in the different categories that are listed there.
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Mr. Fergus, you have the floor.
yeah, even these are crime things that are basically in the Comet area. We suffered the last, well, quite a few years of the city's homelessness. So that had a direct impact on crime associated with the Comet. So I don't know how we would really separate that
Right, that's a very
downtown.
good point.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Councilwoman Tracy, you have the floor.
so I guess my question is, I'm obviously driving, so I don't have the packet in front of me right now. When we're looking at, I guess, behavior that is considered criminal, those are activities that are actually breaking the law. And while people experiencing homelessness may be outside, loitering or whatever, those are not unlawful behaviors for the most part. So just because there are people experiencing homelessness at or near a Comet facility, that doesn't necessarily mean that there's any kind of, criminal behavior going on.
Understood.
That's just,
Thank you for that. So I guess we requested Richland County, City of Columbia, got a lot of statistics thrown at us. Line item C, review of data incidents at Comet Central. Is that, what page is that on? Mr. DeShant?
We requested some information from our security there, and we were hoping to have that information today, and she was not able to provide that, based on her being out of town. We were hoping to have that information, because basically the main thing that we would have are, and which we mentioned in the last meeting, is when, for example, someone is put on trespass notice, and reviewing those type things to see if we have specific issues there that we can identify. Like I said, we were hoping to have that information from our security team that's down there, the contractor that we have down there, but she was not able to get us that information before the meeting today, to see if there's any areas or things that we need to know or focus on.
Understood. Thank you. Please share with that, I guess, at the next meeting when they provide it for us. That'd be great. I guess I'm just kind of curious as to really have any specific data to really dig into to truly see the issues. We know there's issues, and we know, I guess, the root of this is keeping our passengers safe, and how we balance that with our budget and our security that we are contracting out. I believe, and Mr. Fergus, Councilwoman Tracio, please comment. I believe that is why this subcommittee was formed. Right now, I think we need to gather more data and really look at the expenses that we are spending and compare them. But I don't think there's anything that can be really peeled back at this point. Mr. Fergus, Councilwoman Tracio, do y'all have any comments?
Mr. Chair.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so I believe partially this committee is convened due to some questions that I had, particularly around whether or not the security at Comet would be armed, as a matter of, policy. So I think we wanted to look into what actually were the issues. Are people doing more like nuisance behaviors, or is there actually any kind of, threat of violence or physical danger? So I think that's kind of what started this conversation. And I don't know if it's in the purview of this committee at all, but when we're talking about behaviors that may be, unpalatable to certain riders or whatever. Those might be more like mental health needs, and they might be, and if there are people experiencing homelessness, they may need to be put in touch with a place like, Transitions. I'm actually sitting in the RADAC parking lot right now. And so these community partners that provide mental health, substance use support, or I guess addiction support, those I think are also some of the, we should be making sure that we have good outreach and good communication for when those issues arise. Does this make sense?
Great
Okay.
points.
Okay.
And I would extend a question to staff. Do we have communication outlets to our community providers for the services that Councilwoman Teresa just described, whether that's just information available at Comet Transit stops, or if our wonderful drivers are able to direct people that might be requesting that. Is that in our policies? Just a brief summary, if you have it.
Well, I know from our community partnership standpoint, we do try to have open communications, and occasionally we're involved in certain meetings. Say, for example, with Transition, we work closely there, even from the standpoint of keeping the shelters down there, keeping those monitored, and where they're just safe for just the normal rider to use. We work with the partnership with Center City Partnership. We work there, and with the issues that may arise, where, for example, if there's a homeless person that needs additional assistance, how do we get them to where they need to, or the services that they need? One thing that we do, advertise on our buses, and we have signs, is a safe place for teenagers if they contact one of the operators. They have the information to get them, or they have a way to contact Safeway to get that person there for whatever services that they may need. So we try to be, I think, a good neighbor in all of those different ways and entities, and probably I might be missing one or two others, but we do try to be involved and have partnerships with different agencies that may be able to assist riders or anyone that may come to conversation.
Do we have any?
I think I'll let Pamela Bino-Reed, our marketing person, also maybe add some to that.
And I've recently begun to serve on the MOP committee, the Midlands Area Consortium on Homelessness, as well as the Affordable Housing committees. So, the information I get there, I try to bring back. But I've just recently, this month, started that.
Gotcha, wonderful. Is there any mechanism in place for us to understand, capture maybe those points of communication, how often they happen, or do we have that in place?
Points of communication with the different
Yeah,
organizations.
so if we do have riders that, you said the Safeway program for teenagers, that used often. I mean, do we have a record of, a dozen that was used a dozen times?
We can get that.
I think we can request that information. Yes.
And that was from a grant.
Gotcha. I think the more reports, the more summaries that we can start gathering, the more we can really start getting our hands around about the actions that we need to take. Where our strong points are and our weak points. I think I don't feel like we have the data right now to understand what's going on. And I'd like to ask, for our contracted Columbia Police Department and Richland County Sheriff's Department, folks, do you know if they write incident reports and submit those to us as they work our transit stops?
You said whether they sent those incident reports to the comments?
Right. So do they well, I guess let's back up. The CPD and Richland County Sheriff's Department folks that we contract with, what is their scope of service? Do they work just specific comment routes, comment stops? Can you just describe that for us to understand?
Basically, the scope of work, quite naturally, the biggest would be there at Comet Central.
Okay.
As far as the activities might be there, and where they're in the situation where if our security that's there needs backup, they will be there. They're also open to, for example, periodically to ride our service, whatever routes that are chosen for them to do. Also, too, if we have, extreme activity at one of our stops or shelters, that they're also able to go out and assist us with that. Sometimes of doing additional checks or monitoring, but again, they're backing up our security contractor also.
Okay. So security contractor as well. Okay.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Fergus, you have the floor, please, sir.
Yes, I'd like to clean up something because I think something I said was misinterpreted. The reason we contracted with security with the Comet and on buses, United Way was at Laurel and Main, and they complained, and the incidents we were having at the Comet Central was a lot of crime going on, prostitution, drug trafficking, and we had some of the ills of the city, a lot of the homeless in the city and county was bringing it to the Comet Central. And that was the reason we contracted, which I was totally against paying the city to protect the city. We hired cops in each one of the cities to monitor buses. Had nothing to do with them being homeless. It was totally on criminal behavior that was going on our premises.
Wonderful. Thank you for that clarification, sir.
So Chairman?
Yes,
Chairman,
who's speaking?
I think in order to help us to help the committee, if you could tell us exactly what information that you need, then we will kind of know what we need to gather.
That is a wonderful question, Ms. Bynum-Reed. I think to Mr. Fergus's point, understanding what is happening throughout our Comet system when it comes to various levels, criminal behavior, nuisance behavior. I think that is maybe the root of what we should be starting. And I'll let Councilwoman Teresa and Mr. Fergus add on to that. But I think we can't make any decisions quickly until we really digest that information about the path forward for our public safety outlets and our partnerships with the Comet. Councilwoman Teresa, Mr. Fergus, did you want to add on to that? Maybe give staff some direction?
Yeah, I know this is kind of sorry, am I recognized, Mr. Chair?
Yes, please, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you. So I think it would be, I'm just trying to think about if I were staff, how I would go about trying to figure this out. And, presumably if these are kind of Comet related incidents, because I did have a chance to pull up the document while I was sitting here and, looked at the overall numbers for the statistics that were requested, and looks like thankfully year over year, for the most part, these numbers go down. So that's heartening, but we really don't have any idea about whether or not this person was, at Comet Central, or, if someone got into a scuffle on the bus or at a shelter or something. I would presume that any reports would probably make a statement about this happened on a Comet bus, or this happened at a Comet shelter, or at Comet Central. Like, is there a way, and law enforcement may push back on this, but is there a way to kind of like search by, keyword like Comet or the bus, and pull up, specific instances and try to like dig into some of those? Am I being clear here?
Well,
Yeah, yes. Go ahead.
This is Leroy again. I'm hoping that possibly, when we get some data from the data we've requested from our security contractor, that hopefully if we see something there, or maybe criminal related, then we can dig into that or identify that, see, okay, what was the source of this? Where was it generated? And, that could give us hopefully some insight. It just depends on how many incidents we're able to identify from that information when they get it to us.
Great, thank you. Mr. Fergus, did you have anything further to add?
No, I'm fine. Thank you.
Great, thank you. I would put a suggestion to staff to please produce a summary that we could email out to the various merchants associations, small business groups throughout the city and county, our service area, just to help us understand maybe what numbers they can call to report anything that they see happening at our Comet transit stops. That would be a wonderful way for us to gather through our own, I guess, customer service phone number, some data to report back on. So, Ms. Bynum Reed, if you could produce just a short little, something that we could send out to the various merchant groups throughout the county and city, that'd be very much appreciated.
Yes, sir. Do we still have alerts?
We can do
Alerts, okay. Chairman Brennan, I think we have a mechanism already in place. It's called alerts.
Oh, great. Well, let's educate.
Have that.
So in essence, what you want us to do is like things like that we offer, kind of combine that and get that out to, say, the Merchants Association or things like that.
But I exactly, yes, sir. But I want the council members, the delegates from the county, city. I want us to take an active role getting that out, to also be a voice along with you and wonderful staff to make a point to educate and engage those folks to let us know about our transit system. That makes sense?
Would that include, say, for example, Safe Place, letting them know that we offer that, or for example, just our partnership with Transition? I know everybody is aware of Transitions, but I think it's important. It would be important for us to emphasize our partnership with them. And I know one thing that was mentioned of United Way. We're currently doing our United Way campaign, but I think we can also maybe emphasize that on this too, to let people know that, our partnership with them, but, based on sometimes maybe the situation that we're dealing with, maybe out to a shelter or whatever, maybe that's a situation of getting that person, again, in touch with whatever services that they may need, and that could be United Way. So,
I think that's wonderful. Promoting our caring and compassion for our ridership, I think, is a wonderful thing to do. So I think that would be very well received, sir.
Okay.
With the press release too?
First of all, you want us to kind of compile this and kind of bring it back to the committee, and then from there, we can disperse it out to,
Yeah,
guess-
maybe email it out for comment, a strategy.
okay,
You know, I think the community partner aspect is maybe in parallel path with also just a general, here's our e-alert and customer service line if you would like to report anything, you know, as a small business owner merchant that you see on a consistent basis at our transit stops. If that, you could float that around, maybe. I think we have a meeting next month. So between now and then, we could maybe get some feedback from the subcommittee members on that.
okay.
All right, well, wonderful. Unless Councilwoman Teresa, Mr. Fergus, do you have no further comments, I would look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I
Can I get a second? All right, thank you so much. Roll call, please, for that.
Sure. Mr. Lawson? Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
Mr. Fergus?
Yes.
Ms. Horacio?
Yes.
Wonderful, staff. Thank you so much for your time. Subcommittee members, appreciate you so much. We'll see you soon.
All right. Thank you. Have a good
Thank you
day.
all.
Thanks. Bye-bye.